one of my tires seems like it might be flat or might have a leaky valve stem or something. I don't know. So what does it really take to change one of these really heavy tires? Let's go ahead and do that. There's not a whole lot of tools or equipment involved. Let's look through those. This is the factory scissor lift right here. It normally stays in the back of the Jeep. I don't have a fancy off-road jack or anything special. This is just the factory equipment. Here's the tire iron and the other tools that go with the factory jack. I just have a little tray here, some extra sockets. It's convenient to have something to set your lugs in when you take them off so they're not rolling all around. And you need a torque wrench that's rated up to the torque that you're going to do your lugs, which in this case for a Jeep JL is 135 foot-pounds. Another item that I have is this piece of foam. Could be a piece of cardboard, could be anything. It's always nice to have something to kneel on. Sometimes you overlook how annoying it is to be kneeling on the hard ground. And finally, you're going to need the security keys for the lugs if you have them. Most people put security lugs, at least one, on each wheel to prevent theft. And those keys are unique and you definitely don't want to lose those. I have two different types on each wheel and I always keep these in the Jeep with me just in case. You don't want to be anywhere and not have these available. One of the first things that we'll do is pull the spare off of the back. And that's one of the hardest parts because these are heavy and I need to lift it. For me, I have one security key for a lug on here just to prevent theft of my spare. And then there's two other bolts for this, I think it's a Smitty built tire carrier that take a 13/16 socket. And you really need to remember that besides just changing the wheels on the ground, there might be other size sockets that you need to get stuff off the spare. So make sure you have that kit all together whenever you're leaving. So let's go ahead and take this off. Usually you just pull a little tab out so that you can pull the wires back through the wheel and pull the brake light out the front. There you go. Almost forgot that I have one more size of socket, which is a 7/8. Again, sockets that you might not usually have, so make sure you get that for your kit before you get in a situation where you change your tire. Right now this spare is completely loose and it's only sitting on these couple of posts and on the steel piece that protects the backup camera. At this point I have to pick it up and lift it off, and this tire and wheel combo weighs about 150 pounds. And hopefully I don't drop it on my feet. Also, I don't want to rip my shirt and get tire grease all over it, so please excuse me if I don't have a shirt on. The next step is to put our scissor jack underneath the control arm mount and raise it up by hand. Until it's in place. And then we'll use the tire iron to crank the Jeep up a little bit. I'm going to take just a little bit of pressure off of this tire before I start loosening the lugs up. All right, let's go loosen up all the lugs before we lift the tire all the way up. Now we'll keep turning the jack until we get a little bit of clearance underneath the tire. Just like that. I'm just going to lift it. If maybe you can't handle that weight or maybe you have an injury or something, you can put something underneath the tire to lever it up so it doesn't take a lot of force. You don't need to be really strong to do this. You should just use the tools that help you prevent injuries. You definitely don't want to hurt yourself straining to lift up the tire. Now I'm going to let the Jeep back down a little bit so it's easier to lean this over and get the post to come through the holes here. We're pretty close, so I'm gonna try lifting it just a little bit and see if it falls on. That all I had to do is nudge it up a little bit and it settled right into place. I'll tighten all the lugs back on, and then we'll need to set it back down a little farther to prevent the wheel from turning as I torque it. I'm going to let the jack down until the wheel just touches the ground enough to stop spinning, but before I put all the weight of the Jeep back onto the wheel. Now that it's not moving anymore, I can tighten these all the way up. So that's the first pass, and when you tighten these, some of the other ones can come loose. So I'll go back around one more time just to make sure everything is tight. Now I'm going to just let the tire all the way back down on the ground, and that's it. The one thing I can't do right now is I can't lift the spare back into place on the Jeep. That takes 2 people. I'm not able to clean that from the ground. All right, and there you have it. It's really not that bad to change even very large and heavy tires if you have the right equipment, you know the right procedure. If you need some help lifting things, you get an extra pair of hands or you use the levers to pick things up intelligently so that you don't injure yourself. I'd encourage everybody to make sure you can change a flat tire, make sure you can get a spare onto your Jeep. You should rotate your tires every, I don't know, 5 or 10,000 miles, especially if you got mud tires and you want to get a lot of life out of them. Rotating that spare through will save you a whole lot of money in the end. So I hope that was interesting. Check out some of my other videos. See you next time.